To have your say on Bristol's climate action plans, go to the Bristol Disability Equality Forum website and fill in the survey. The world is changing. Human activity is affecting the world's climate, and we need to do something about it to stop the change before it's too late. This is a climate emergency, so Bristol is changing too. Big changes are coming to our housing, our public transport, the way we get our food, roads and the way we get around, and green spaces. Even our air is changing too. That's because the world is getting dangerously hot. Action is being taken internationally, nationally, and here in Bristol we are taking action too. Bristol City Council has declared a climate emergency and promises to make big changes by 2030. It had said it will support communities to make their own community-level climate action plans. And you are invited to help decide how this happens. If done well, climate action could make our city healthier, our air cleaner, and our transport more accessible. So we must make sure our needs are thought about when designing the new climate action plans. Now is the time for disabled people to take the lead in making Bristol better. So here's our 1-minute guide to climate change. Burning fossil fuels like oil and natural gas produces a gas called carbon dioxide or CO2, which becomes part of the Earth's atmosphere. Around the world, billions of tons of CO2 are produced every year. This gas traps energy from the sun instead of it being reflected back out into space. So the whole planet is getting too hot. This makes storms and extreme weather more likely. Fires and flooding are increasing and ice caps are melting, making sea levels rise. So what is to be done? Countries around the world are starting to produce more sustainable energy, like these solar panels and windmills in Lawrence Weston. They are also cutting energy use and reducing the horrible pollution from traffic, industry and farming. We don't want to breathe dirty air. Cities like ours are a big part of the problem. We need to stop producing more CO2 than the planet can cope with. This is known as going carbon neutral, and it is a vital step towards protecting the planet.
So as our city becomes more carbon neutral, change is coming to Bristol, and we're working really hard to support that change. But it's really important that disabled people's voices are part of that conversation. You have an invaluable insight which is unique to your situation, and many other people just won't be able to bring to the table. So please do get involved. We're really ready to learn, and we need to learn those lessons in order to get the right solution that suits the whole of the city.
Everyone in Bristol is going to have to do a lot more to meet the challenge that's ahead of us. However, an interesting piece of research that's been done for this project has shown that, on average, disabled people tend to act in ways that are better for the planet than a lot of other communities. So one of the important things that we can bring into this project is leadership.
Let's have a look at some of the things that are happening around Bristol to help inspire you with ideas. The way we get around is changing for the better. In the future, there will be more bike lanes and cleaner vehicles. Using bikes and public transport is a great way to reduce the CO2 we make. Part of that will be to have more pedestrian streets like this one.
This kind of project really benefits tackling air pollution in Bristol, which is really bad and it affects a lot of people's health every year. It also helps with just making it a quieter, nicer place to spend time, better for people's well-being, makes the roads safer and easier for people to use, and it benefits local businesses as well. So accessibility is of course really important. We need to get input from anyone and everyone that will be affected by the scheme. And I know that the council consulted with disability groups in the design stage of this temporary pedestrianisation, and have also, I think, been in touch with them throughout the operation of it as well, because it's important to make sure not just that the designs are good, but also that the actual operation of the scheme works as intended.
Yeah.
But I certainly hope that we'll see more schemes like this.
These schemes need to be as accessible as possible. Share your ideas with us about what other actions needs to be taken to meet your needs, so that they can be put into our plan. In Bristol, there's a plan to become carbon neutral by 2030, so the city will be responsible for removing as much CO2 as it makes. That is a big challenge, a massive change from where we are now. It will include using far less fossil fuels to run our cars and heat our homes. It means reducing traffic. It means better insulation in houses and much more green energy production. Here in Easton, the Owen Square Community Project behind me generates affordable green energy. They have solar panels in a way to store heat underground for winter.
Not many people get to come back to this area. This is what used to be our boiler room until we switched over to a mix between solar power and an air ground source heat pump. Our roof is pretty much covered in solar panels, and we use them to provide the electricity throughout the building. And what we're hoping is that other sites, other community buildings, other organizations across the city will also continue to look at what they can do and maybe take some of our learnings here and we can share and build a whole movement across Bristol, helping residents to reap the benefits by having warmer homes, less energy costs, and a more renewable, sustainable future.
Bristol, being a climate leader, can bring improvements to our lives. Cleaner air, more green spaces, homes that are cheaper and easier to heat, better public transport, less waste, and more local food production. The way we produce our food can be a big source of CO2. Eating local food grown by local people is a great way to reduce your impact on the environment. This project in South Bristol provides fresh, healthy meals to local residents.
We are a social enterprise and we grow vegetables and cut flowers. Our veg goes into our veg boxes on a weekly basis, which we deliver to residents of Hartcliffe and wider Bristol. And we also put our veg into our Real Meals store, which is frozen meals, and it's a pay it forward range. So the meals that get bought also provide meals for people that can't afford them. And what we'd really like to see is organisations like this all over the city, all over all of the cities, where they're little hubs where people can learn to grow their own food, where we can grow food for the community as well, and keep everyone's diets balanced and keep food miles down.
Brilliant. Bristol is developing a community climate action plan and helping 6 communities, including disabled people, to develop their own. But we must make sure that any action taken is thoughtful and inclusive of all of Bristol's residents, so it becomes a better city for all. Already many projects have started around the city. Part of College Green is being rewilded. This means it isn't mowed and wildflowers are encouraged to grow. It's great for the bees.
Rewilding is about taking green spaces and making them more natural and wild again, so by planting natural species and letting the kind of ground and grass take a life of its own. People with disabilities can definitely get involved. This can be done at home, it can be done in your garden, in your balcony, in a plant pot on your windowsill, but it can also be done on a wider scale and with accessibility in mind. You could get a group together and do a community kind of startup project within a park that you have. Getting in contact with the council to kind of encourage them to push more things like this is another great step. But yeah, anywhere and anyone will have a benefit.
The amount of waste we produce is also a problem. Reusing and recycling more would help a lot. At Emmaus, they sell upcycled items in their shop and use the money to help the homeless.
So we act as that buffer between somebody wanting to throw something away because they no longer have a need for it, but that item still being something that someone else will find good use out of. We are preventing those items from going into landfill, which would be such a waste, taking up space and obviously adding to our carbon footprint. Emmaus Bristol provides something that is great for the planet, it's great for the community, and it's also great for your wallet. So it's a really affordable solution to environmental problems.
So how can you help? We need disabled people to help develop the new community climate action plans. Disabled people need to get involved in the decision making through a process called co-production, where ordinary people get together with professionals who make plans for our city. We want you to come up with ideas, imaginative solutions to problems, and some achievable actions. We want to know what your climate priorities are as disabled people. We want to make sure that your experiences as disabled people are used to design any new changes. So go to the Bristol Disability Equality Forum website and fill in the survey, or join one of our engagement activities. Disabled people are used to finding creative ways to overcome barriers. So you are some of the most qualified people in Bristol when it comes to solving our climate emergency. Bristol is changing for the better. Join us to help make that change better for everyone.